Hey folks,
Okay.
Hey folks, it's good to be back in Sydney with Kay.
Hi.
Thanks for coming up to see us. We are going to do another budgetography episode. It's time to resurrect this series. I get so many requests for it. I went out and got a new budgetography camera, so Clix-A-Lot from KEH Camera, and a single lens. And we're going to do a full portrait shoot with only available light using this 11-year-old camera combo. Let's check it out. Montage. Stick around folks, this is going to be a fun video. Kay and I will be putting the D700 through its paces with a fixed 85mm f1.8 lens. And as I said, this is all going to be available light, so we're working with the sun and whatever lights we can find inside the apartment. We're going to shoot for about 3 to 4 hours, all the way through to sunset, to see how the D700 does in low light situations with the city lights in the background as well. The D700 is a legend. It was amazing and groundbreaking when it was released in 2008, and while the market has moved on in terms of resolution and specs, this 12.1 megapixel model still remains an awesome camera with great ergonomics and good image quality. And now you can pick them up for as little as $400 or $500 from KEH Camera. So that's what I did. KEH have been in the business for 40 years and they have over 50,000 different products in stock. And best of all, they have a really clear grading system, so you know exactly the quality of the gear that you're buying. So whether you want some great older gear like the D700 or you want a current model camera, you can save up to 40% on the new model stuff by buying through KEH. And if you use the code MATTG at checkout, you can get an extra 5% off. Now, let's explore this apartment and find some cool pools of light to shoot in.
Let's go.
Now, Sydney is gorgeous even in winter, and the early afternoon sun was in just the right angle for us to shoot by the pool. So as Kay got herself ready to shoot, I went out and was moving the furniture around to block out the shots and get the kind of frame that I wanted, just in precariously walking around the edges of the pool to get some cool B-roll. So as I lined everything up, it was becoming clear one of the biggest challenges was going to be using that single focal length indoors and outdoors for all of our shots. By the time Kay got in, I pretty much knew the shots that I wanted for this frame, but I had to be really deliberate with my posing instructions to make sure I wouldn't cut off any parts of her body. Let's scoot your bum back a bit so you're sitting more up. And then actually covering your eyes is great. Put one hand out from your face so you're like covering it like that. Even further. Yeah, you can feel if an eye is being exposed. Spread your fingers a bit. Yeah. So I quite like this kind of frame, having her hand blocking out the light. Okay, sunglasses on. Now, having your model wear sunglasses can be a godsend. It stops them from squinting and gives you a lot more flexibility in the poses they can take. However, you might want full sunglasses because these ones, whilst pretty, didn't give you a whole lot of coverage for her face. I can't fit. Can you bring your feet closer to your bum? Bendy, bendy, yeah. Perfect. Hair's on point. I still can't quite fit you. Oh, please don't fall, Maddie. Just like the good old days, me risking life and limb to get the shot, I ended up walking around the pool for the whole day. We'll be doing this again at sunset to get the kind of frame on her that I wanted with a cleaner background. Hand back onto the chair. No, just like on the chair, not over the edge, because I can't get that. Chin up and looking out that way. And looking straight to the city. So here, little things like this, making sure you haven't cropped off the hand or foot or gotten any distractions in the background makes it a lot easier in edit, so you don't have shots where you've got a great shot, but you've just managed to chop off a couple of the fingers. Okay, now switch legs. Yeah, okay. Now here I had her switch her legs. Whilst the pose was beautiful, the shadow pattern that her front leg was causing on the second was really unflattering. So by simply switching them out, the first leg covered it, and the second one, the shadow there is actually really nicely positioned. Now with any model you want to pay attention to the pose, and here on her side I'm getting the angle through her body I wanted, but we were getting the skin folds on her side which I knew she wouldn't be a fan of. So working with her to get that out by adjusting the angle of her hips so she could lengthen the top side of her body meant that we could smooth all of that out and still get the shot that we wanted. You look like Captain Cook if you put your hand up like that. Is that what you're going for?
Maybe.
Time to get her feet wet, switching sides and shooting a couple of variations of her kicking and running her hands through the water. Again, having her move forward and back to adjust the frame and shooting with and against the sun got us some quite nice results. Put one hand on this side of your, not between, yeah, perfect, turn it back. Just relax that shoulder a little. So how are we gonna do that? Put your hand further out. Okay, now just like run your hand through the water. It really is worth looking at the on-angle sun shot and the opposite, and if you can, even doing a full 360 around your subject with them not moving relative to the light source to see how the light and shadow pattern across their body works, and if you're getting any interesting shadows behind them that you may want to include in the shot or exclude. Man, you gotta love a Sydney winter. Today is glorious, a great day for this kind of a shoot. So Clix-A-Lot is holding up great. It doesn't focus quite as fast as the latest and greatest cameras that cost 10 times the price, of course, but so far I'm really enjoying shooting with it. It brings back a lot of memories and the ergonomics are still pretty much there on what you get on a modern Nikon DSLR. Next, Kay is changing into a red and white outfit that I think is gonna look a treat as a black and white conversion standing against the pillar. There's some nice lines from the water popping up here on the wall that'll make for a great background. It's pretty much going to be standing here. I'm going to have that angle, they're just kind of getting you in the background, but then see all these lovely ripples we're getting? A shot from over here, I think we can get all of those lights coming onto you as well, and then a cool shadow. So basically stand there, there's your light source. Now I really liked this frame and I think it's a gorgeous swimsuit. The challenge here was minimizing distractions. I felt like there was some really cool graphic shapes that we could form in the shot, even with the shape that her shadow was casting there, which really complemented the kind of block nature of her swimwear. So it meant moving closer, moving further, moving some things in the background so that we could eliminate, you know, the chair at the back of the frame there, and just then having the pillars if I changed my angle a little bit. And in the end, I think we got a couple of cool shots here as well. Next, let's head indoors and shoot with some indirect sunlight. Okay, so for our first setup here, there's an interesting light here. It's just changing so rapidly. We've got these interesting adjustable metal blinds that we can change in two sections, the angle. So I'm gonna play with those to see how much direct, indirect, or the overall light balance I want in the scene. It's nice to have you back.
Hi.
Hi, holla, city squalor. So, we got a couple of fun things going on here. Are we rolling?
Rolling,
Just
rolling,
a bit.
rolling.
You are in focus.
Hallelujah. Okay, so moving this one, we can get some, firstly, it gets some interesting light on her if we want that. Here, when we adjust this, we can add some cool lines of light, and then if you just move your head a tiny bit back and forward, yeah, perfect. Then we can position that light exactly where we want it on her. Also, we can get rid of that, and it's still giving a little bit of ambient kick, because you can see that's without it.
Wow.
So we are still getting a decent amount of ambient added with that. But then this guy, as well as adding ambient to her, we can really change the background. So you see as we open that more up, the white wall behind her to the left really gets a lot more light. So we can change the overall look of the shot we want there. So we could open this a little to get the little beams onto the railing there. and then turn your back, turn more like this kind of an angle, this kind of an angle, this kind of an angle.
Ooh. Forgot how funny you were.
Okay, so the main challenge we're going to have today, other than just working with the pools of light we find, is sticking with a single focal length. This is a really nice lens, though it's not quite as fast as like the AFS lenses, but they do have a nice look to them. Look to me. So this does give us a nice little visual interest. I actually like the look of these all leading in here. Turn your shoulders more towards me, there you go. So nice shooting with this camera again. I used to own this back in the day. I was actually stunned that this one came in at, I think this one was like $450. To me, it looks almost like new. Their grading system had it lower, which is great because it means it was even cheaper. Okay, so the sun has really changed. It's now behind the building, so opening these is not giving us that hard light across her. So we can bring in a whole lot more light, fill up the whole side of the room, get a much faster exposure, lower f-stop. Now with that sun being blocked by the building, we had a nice soft light coming into the apartment, and I just wanted to set up 3 different variations on this shot to show you the difference of directional light versus straight on. So there's going to be 2 variations, but both are essentially you leaning forward like you're doing up that strap on your heel, even though they're already on. This first shot is with the light basically coming straight towards her face. So we get a nice feathering of light and shadow with her face being the brightest, moving across the body. Then doing a 180, it's the reverse. I don't love this angle, but there you see the light pattern falling in reverse. And then by moving the chair so she was actually facing directly parallel to that window, it was all hitting her evenly. Here we get a shot where her entire body and face are flatly lit. So to recap, here's the side light with the face directly at the light. Here's the face away from the light with the side light. And then here it is flatly lit straight on at her. So we headed out about half an hour before official sunset to start getting some shots on the balcony. And it was such a gorgeous spot.
Oh my God, can you smell that? It's like steak. It smells so good.
Okay, now turn.
Look at this one.
Nope.
Just the way you are. We're twins.
Yours.
Someone give me a camera.
Turn a little more. This is so pretty. A cool lesson here was how just a slight variation in face angle or eye contact can make a huge difference on the final image. Here it was kind of blocking her face with the frill on her dress, so a little bit of variation gave us some good options in terms of final shot. Now I just want to wait until the city lights come on so we get, I'm not looking for particular buildings, I just want that diffuse city vibe in the background. Oh, that sounds really cool, man. No, it's slightly away. As soon as you turn right to me, I can't see your profile at all. So you can see the sun drops really quickly in that last 5 minutes, sped up here. So we were working fast to get the shots before it disappeared. Some shots along the pool came up really nicely. There were some cool shots here, both underexposing her and getting the background exposed right, or overexposing the lights in the background to bring her up. Look to me. Okay, so, a little bit dizzy. Standing on the edge of a pool near the edge of a 6-story balcony. I came out here to shoot her with the city lights behind, but I'm actually finding having her lit by the city lights and then catching the reflected city lights on the outside of this glass railing kind of gives a really cool effect. And then the balance is all just there. Leaning in again. Have have to say these are probably my favorite shots of the entire day, and happy to report that nobody accidentally fell into the pool.
It's lucky the D700 was always a low light beast, because even at f1.8, I'm at ISO 1000 to get an exposure here.
So fun shoot. It's so nice to have Justin, who's behind the camera, back up from Wollongong, and Kay up from Wagga. It's been what, like 3 years since we all were together for a shoot?
Too long.
Far too long. You should all come to New York and shoot with me there. Yes. Okay, we're agreed. New Sir Clix-a-Lot did a great job. I have to say it's been really nice to shoot with a D700 again. I owned one of these back in the day, and it's just as good of a camera now as it was then, but this whole kit is like $750 used for a full frame, high quality, pretty good low light. No, it doesn't keep up with all the modern cameras in terms of specs, but results are results, and ergonomics and handling and focus are all still really good on it. So thank you to KEH Camera for sponsoring this episode and sending out my new Sir Clix-a-Lot. You can check them out. The link's in the caption below. Code MattG, extra 5% off. Thank you. It's been fun. Now let's film some more stuff. Woohoo!